Hi there, and welcome back to another episode at Station Road. Now, in today's episode, of course, we're going to carry on with the station extension build, although I haven't actually spent much time on the actual station itself. So in today's episode, we will continue adding some further scenic material to the backfilled tunnel portal area to the hill slope. So in the previous episode, of course, I got as far as adding a few layers of static grass, but now it's time for a little bit more full-on vegetation and some wild overgrowth. So the plan is to, at this point now, add some Bramberries to this area in various different locations. Now you're probably asking, well, what are Bramberries? Well, it's what I use to refer to them during this video, and it wasn't until after the video I realized, well, hold on a minute, what am I saying here? So Bramberries, as I've referred to them in this video, I'm essentially referencing Brambles, or here in New Zealand we sort of more commonly refer to them as Blackberry. So you can see where I got the Bramberries from. Now I did actually do a double check, and the word does actually exist, and it does really kind of mean brambles, so I'm just going to call them Bramberries. So in the latter part of this video, I will actually get into discussing my plans for the actual station area itself. So of course in the previous video, I revealed my plans for the actual station buildings themselves and the real life buildings that they are actually based on. And of course this is Laura and Gil's property that they purchased and are renovating this old railway station. So I think without further ado, let's just jump into what I got up to. So it's been a few days since I applied this second layer of static grass, and as you can see, just with a hair trimmer, beard trimmer, whatever you want to call it, I'm just trimming off any sort of really ridiculously long stray bits, and of course I'll vacuum that up afterwards. But you can also actually just sort of get into it and shave it right back if you wanted a more kind of lower level bit of grass. So yeah, it works quite well. Right, so I've vacuumed up any stray bits of static grass after using the hair trimmer on it, and what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to build up some even further layers of static grass, and particularly I want to concentrate on an area in here and possibly some areas up here as well, and maybe in here. So the idea behind that is to build up the height even further, and then using the roving yarn is to apply that over and then add scatters, so it gives it more as if that's a stalky clump that's underneath. At least that's the theory, so I'm hoping that will work. So I'm just using more of the dark olive static grass because that sort of mimics more of a sort of a stalky or dead type undergrowth, which will then have obviously this overgrowth over the top of it. So we'll just see how this goes. So once again, using the Boyle's matte spray varnishes, the layering spray will add some further layers to this. So we're just going to plug this in and concentrate in sort of an area around here. So that's built up that area in there, so I'm going to work my way up, and I just feel like I want to have some quite lengthy bits up here. So I think we'll leave it at that for this third layer of static grass in here, and of course you can see some quite lengthy strands in here. Of course, once this is dry, I'm going to vacuum up any of the excess and maybe just here and there pluck it out, or as I've done before, use the hair trimmer just to trim various bits and sculpt it. And then once I've done that, of course, I'm going to go over it with really sort of open mesh, very fine sort of thin layer of the roving yarn, and then of course on top of that sprinkle that with some various scatters. So I've let that third layer of static grass dry out. Now it's the next day, and it starts to actually really bring a bit of height into the level of grass. So what we're planning on doing now is using some of this roving yarn. So this stuff here, I use it quite a bit for sort of making all manner of Bramberries and bushes and all sorts, and it's basically a wool, a dyed wool that you can just pull apart and shape it and so forth how you want to use it. So it comes in various colours too, or you can, I think you can get it sort of in, well, a natural wool colour and dye it obviously, but I get it pre-dyed. So this is quite a dark brown, and basically what I'm sort of doing here is I'm pulling it out quite light, so it's quite open in its mass compared to say that there, which is, you know, it's pretty dense. So I really sort of want to give it a lot of air in between all these fibers and strands, and I'm just working up a shape just on a light background so I can actually see how the shape is going, and just sort of generally trimming off, you know, the odd little strangly stray bits here and there with a pair of scissors to sort of get a kind of a shape that I'm happy with. And then using a bit of the, once again, the matte spray varnish, which is kind of my version of the layering spray. We're just going to spray an area in here with this matte varnish, which is sort of basically going to act as an adhesive to hold this in place. And then I'm just using some meat skewers, bamboo meat skewers, and we're just poking it down into this matte varnish spray and kind of shaping it a little bit, maybe tucking it in on the underside a bit, and you know, we could pull a piece out that way. So you sort of get a, you know, bit of a clump. We can sort of tease it up a bit, and yeah, just sort of generally tweak it how we want the shape to look. I mean, the idea is really this is sort of wilderness overgrown. It's not meant to look like somebody's front lawn, so this would be probably quite a random shape, wouldn't have any symmetry or anything to it, and it sort of could be growing in various different directions. So it might be something like that, and then of course there might be some areas that you find that can go, don't want that piece there, this is looking a little bit high, we can trim that. So once you're sort of happy with the general shape, then I'm just using a blended scatter. This is a Knock product, and it's called Scatter Grass Forest Floor. So it's actually kind of a mixture of scatter and also static grass fibers in there. So it's a bit of a blend. So it's got some highlights in it and some dark colours in it, but it works quite well, I find, to sort of add that foliage to the top layer. I'm actually just gonna pull this and tease it out a bit further actually, because I really do sort of want it to be quite airy in the middle, like not too dense or sort of clumped together. Right, so I'm generally sort of happy with that shape. So once again, we then go over it with more of the matte spray varnish. Doesn't matter too much if you get it on other stuff, because this is going to be more controlled in terms of sprinkling on the scatter. So I'm just using my fingers and just taking pinches of the scatter, much as you would pop a pinch of salt on your meal. We're doing the same here. We don't really want to cover the whole thing. It's just sort of more like highlights, so you do actually still see the brown roving wool or fibre underneath, which sort of really, it does sort of give the impression of, you know, the twisted mass of a Bramberry bush with all its twigs and branches and thorns. So, and even sort of getting it into the edges there a little bit. So this kind of stuff would actually make quite a sort of good looking gorse bush as well, and you could highlight that with some yellow just to, you know, give the impression of yellow flowers on the gorse. And then what we do is we're just going to give it another blast over the top from a distance this time, because we don't really want to drench it, and I just sort of want to secure that lot in place. And then any stray bits sort of around here, once this is the spray is dry, then we can actually just trim those bits off, and I can also actually begin to tease it up again a little bit, but we'll wait for it to dry. We'll come back and we'll just sort of tease it a little bit more and give it a little bit more of an open feel to it. So as you saw in the footage, I've now added a little bit more of this foliage and overgrowth, and added a little bit up here along the fence line and also around this bit of buttress here, and I probably will add some more, particularly up around the tunnel portal, possibly either side here, but still not overly blocking this, so we can still see that, of course, up above the parapet here, and possibly even some bits around here. But as this is now a day or two later and this is now dry, we can actually sort of tease this stuff even further and push it and pull it around to get it to gain a bit of height or readjust its shape. So we could bring this up more, and of course we could apply even further scatter, and then of course I'd go over it again with the matte spray varnish. So we'll leave this hill section where it is at the moment. As I mentioned, more to add in there. What I'd like to do is jump over to the station now, which is really, as I think I've mentioned before, what this whole entire series is about. And so far I haven't even really gone anywhere near it, apart from assemble some temporary or template platforms. So we're going to move over to the station area and be able to get into what the plans are for that. So as you'll recall, a few episodes ago I actually was working out the templates for these platforms, so we're still at that stage. I've still just got the scrap corrugated card sitting here, and that was just essentially to work out clearances for various different types of rolling stock. And this is just sitting on some timber battens underneath, so this is not even really the exact height that these platforms will be. Now this is where the old station used to be. You can sort of see the footprint, the bit of pavement and so forth in here, and of course we've got our street here. Now one of the observations I made from some of the photos I've got so far of the station in question is there is actually quite a bit of a distance between the edge of the platform and the side of the station building. So the platform is quite wide, and I'm not quite sure why it is, but there's certainly a lot of room out the front. Now I'm not going to be able to recreate that on my layout. Of course I will be doing that on the other model, which I'm going to obviously kindly donate to Laura and Gil. Now I'm going to have to bring the station in a bit, and one of the other things that I may have to do is I may have to reduce the depth of the station just a little bit as well, possibly. I'm not quite sure, because the depth of the station in question, of course, is just a little bit deeper than the Metcalfe station that used to be here. Now of course another big question too as well is, of course, the station in question is of course at ground level. So the actual station building is at ground level, and of course the track bed is sunken into the surrounding ground level, surrounding landscape. And of course the Metcalfe station I used to have here is you actually stepped up to the station building, and of course the road and the track bed were at the same level. Now what I'd really like to do is get the ground level up to the platform height, so all of this through here, the road and everything, is actually all at the same level, which means all this work that I did some years back will disappear, get hidden underneath a new layer. Now it's not all despair, because people might be thinking, oh, what about the pub and this excavated construction site here? Well, fortunately this was modelled as a module, so this module does actually come out. It's independent of the layout, and so what I'm actually going to do is simply raise this up. So I can raise this module up to the platform level, and then we'll end up with the same level throughout this entire area. Where it gets to down here, and you can just see it on the edge of the camera, of course we've got this overhead bridge here, is I may either just sort of undulate the road down, so it comes down on a very sort of minor gradient. By the time it reaches this bridge it's back to this level, or the more severe option is that I rip this overhead bridge out and remodel it at a new height, in which case it won't be on this slant as like it is at the moment. But I'm just at this stage thinking I will reduce this down. I just might mock it up and just see how it looks, because if it looks too ridiculous, then I may go for the more severe option, which is a bit of a shame because I quite like this area here, and if I was going to do it and commit to some surgery in here, I may try to do it as carefully as I possibly can. So the station building in here, and then of course directly opposite through here, or roughly, will of course be the station building for the other platform, and of course that also currently exists, but interestingly it's on the neighbouring property at Laura and Gil's place, so unfortunately they don't have access to it, and so modelling this platform shelter or platform waiting room on this side is going to be more of a challenge, but once again it shares the same architectural traits, so hopefully it'll be reasonably okay to sort of reproduce and duplicate elements from this station building over to that one, and also determine sort of approximate measurements from Google Earth views and things like that. So Laura and Gil have begun sending for a little bit of material, and they've actually sent through some photographs which I asked them to take of some of their brick walls. And the idea, and I mentioned this in a previous episode, is if Laura and Gil are able to take photos, which they've done, of some of the areas of brick wall, then I'll actually use their bricks as the printed texture for the station. So the interesting thing is the printed texture will actually be their bricks on the exterior wall. So I think that will be quite a coup, I guess you could say. It would be interesting to have that, and also the stonework as well. So all the stonework that's around the window frames and all of that kind of stuff will actually be from that stonework which they have been photographing, so that'll be great. So that's where we're at the moment for this sort of station area, and I really do hope to get into this hopefully in the next episode or two, and of course getting back and actually just tying off those additional bits of shrubbery and bushes and so forth that are on the backfilled tunnel entrance there. So there we have it for today's episode, and as you can see, the hillside where the backfill tunnel is certainly starting to take shape and look a little bit more wild and wilderness looking, and of course there's definitely still going to be more brambles to add into that area, plus also other types of overgrowth that need to be added in there. There might be a few more sort of more higher bushy type overgrowth to add as well. So of course with the plans for the station, it's a case of now looking at raising up that whole area, as I've discussed, where the road is, where the old railway station used to be, and of course raising up the pub and the construction site area that's also on the other side of the road. Now with a little bit further thought, I think I probably will modify that overhead bridge. I actually think I might be able to do a modification to it rather than just rip the whole thing out and start all over again. I think there may be a way I can actually tackle that. So it will be good to actually get that whole area up that level, and the interesting thing is that the parapet walls that I've got there are actually quite high anyway, so it kind of works in, I think, quite well. So I'll leave it there for today's episode. I certainly hope you've gained some inspiration and ideas for your own layouts. And of course, once again, thank you everyone for all the comments, particularly in the last episode, of course, with announcing the news about the old station renovation coming to life in miniature. And of course, all the other videos and all the feedback and comments that I've received. So do take care, everyone. Of course, look after yourselves. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will catch you next time. Bye for now.